afternoon. He's back. Dan A. Meringue in the building. How you doing, sir?
Still recovering.
Oh, yeah. What do you like? Liver damage? What's going on here? Or just the heat?
All of the above.
You just basketball OD?
Yeah, I had an average of like 18,000 steps a day, and I didn't bring the most comfortable shoes.
Amateur hour.
Yeah, well,
you're in Vegas. You have to wear. It's a Vegas, Disneyland, New York City. You've got to wear comfortable shoes because you know you're walking.
I went beauty is pain, pain is beauty. You know,
I ain't about that life.
Yeah, no, I should not have been, and now my calves are fighting it. But yeah, no,
my calves are fighting it.
Yeah, they're not happy about it. Not only that, I got home yesterday. The plane landed at 9:20 in the morning. Did not get home until like 12:40.
Yeah.
Because apparently somebody had their car stop on I-84 and all of Oregon decides, oh, we all need to stop and watch instead of just going around him while he gets to the shoulder. So it took 2 hours almost to get to my in-laws in Beaverton.
Okay.
And then from there, apparently they just decided to shut down every back road between Beaverton and Sherwood and turn it into like half a lane because it's construction season.
Yeah, it is construction season.
And it took me another like an hour and 15 minutes to get home. So it took me over 3 hours to get from the Portland airport to Newburgh. And I wanted to take a header off a bridge because that was the last thing I wanted to do after getting off a plane after being in Las Vegas.
Well, that's welcome back to Oregon.
Yeah. But then I spent the next 9 hours playing NCAA football.
How'd that go? University of Houston Cougars.
Went with the kids.
What do they do? I think they do this.
They do the...
Oh, they do the shocker. That's
yeah.
right. That's right. That's what Houston does. I don't know why.
I don't either.
I have
they
no idea why.
They like a spread out shocker.
Oh, they do. They
yeah,
go
they
like this. They don't bring
like,
the thumb in like Arizona State.
No, they do a...
Yeah, they do thumb out. I don't know. Is that a cougar paw? Is that a cougar paw?
Like an H? I don't know.
Because you got the TC. Everybody's got their own.
The horn
hand
frog.
signals.
Look, the horn frog's good.
Horn frog's got like two little horns. Mm-hmm. Texas A&M thumbs up, gig 'em. Mm-hmm. You've got Sick'em, which is bear claw for Baylor.
Horns down.
Horns up or down, depending on if you're in Austin or Norman, Oklahoma. You've got.
It's the only thing I have of those rednecks from Oklahoma.
What I don't know what Rice does. Math. They do math.
Yeah, math.
They do math.
Well, real good school.
Great school.
Good school.
Great school. Texas Tech does guns up. Pew, 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 pew. Saw that.
Didn't lose any recruits to Rice in the recruiting battle. Turns out.
You didn't.
It turns out didn't lose any of those.
Good.
But yeah, no, it's a wonderful game.
Okay.
It's fantastic. It's going to eat up way too much of my life over the next couple of weeks.
I have seen, and look, this is becoming like the bot thing that everybody's tweeting out, but it's like EA made a love story to college football.
Yeah, no, it's all very dumb. It's just very
come on,
fun.
They made a really cool video game. That's awesome, and I'm glad it's back, and everybody else in the world gets to play it on the 19th. You were gone when the launch actually happened online for the digital thing.
Oh yeah, no, it's guys in Vegas brought their systems with them, and
people were very, very excited. And right at 1 o'clock, everybody logged in. Everything crashed.
Yeah,
immediately. It's like it's 2024. How are we not ready? Like they knew exactly how many people could possibly
got on.
Yeah, but how are you not ready for that? Like you know that everybody's like it's been 11 years. Everybody's going to be geeking out over this thing. And they're like, I think we're not ready.
They had 750,000 people on in the Play Now. Like, not even in the Dynasty mode, not in the Road to Glory. They had 750,000 people on in the Play Now, like, were online matches.
Yeah.
And this is before the game is officially released. So, come Friday, you're going to have well over a couple million people playing the game at the same time. Which, shout out to all of the old gamers who didn't realize how a pre-order worked or that you needed a new system or how to download games. The struggle was real for some old guys.
I want it in my hand.
I had some I
want it in my hand.
I had some other media members like, how do I get it? How do I play it? I'm like, oh, sweet summer child, come with me. Let me catch you up to the last 10 years.
It's called the internet.
Yeah, it was tough, but it's absolutely wonderful.
All right.
And
well, how'd the Houston Cougars do?
Lost last second game to Oklahoma on the road. I will say they've talked about the the in stadium effects.
Ooh.
It's very real. It's very disgusting playing in Oklahoma. It's very loud. It's very hard to do anything. Made it to the playoffs though. Made it to the playoffs.
Hey, all right, one of the top 12 teams.
Yeah,
huh?
I had to junk my way there, but it's very difficult.
Okay.
Had some close calls.
So you went through a full season.
Went through a full
You're
season.
already a full season in.
I'm not kidding when I say I played for like 9 hours straight. I did
That's-
nothing but mind dump that video game when I got home. I told my wife, I go, I'm exhausted. I'm going to put my feet up. I'm going to play this game, and I'm not going to move.
Yeah, that's aggressive.
It
you
was.
put in over a full workday
Yeah.
on a video game.
Well, I will say I was watching basketball pretty much the entire day, and I just kind of would pivot back over to a pause game and start.
There's a lot of people out there
It's
playing
fantastic.
that game. Playing that game. We went through this. Like, I was working through the demons, and we went down the road of our son would never go outside again if we had that. If we got a new system, we got a new game. So we're gonna keep him outside for a little bit longer. He would literally not leave.
Live inside.
He would just
Yeah.
that would be his new passion,
Mhm.
and he's clamoring for it. But
You're going to deny him that
I am going to deny
like
him
it.
that
I
for
like it.
for now.
for a little while.
Look,
You can use that's a good carrot later.
yeah,
It's
and look, the people don't understand. Like, it is an actual tool that college football programs have used in the past on the old video game. I went down to because my high school quarterback played at Tennessee, old Eric Ainge
Mhm.
there, and I went and I visited him 1 week for their preparations for Georgia, and I got to go and sit in on the quarterback meetings, do all that stuff, and we went one day into David Cutcliffe was the offensive coordinator at the time. We went into David Cutcliffe's office, and they fired up NCAA, and basically they had what GAs would go in, put Tennessee's playbook in, and then the week of whoever they were playing, they would go in and put in all of the coverages for whoever they were playing on EA.
Mhm.
And you got like they would play
So you-
video
so you could
games
see it.
to learn
Yeah.
how it looks, how some of the rotations look.
Oh.
Now, it wasn't a perfect science because humans are humans,
yeah.
and things would change. But it was like they actually used it as a tool
Yeah.
to practice their game plan against opponents. It was the damnedest thing, and that was like 2007.
Yeah, it's now they have significantly more playbooks that are actually tailored to universities. Like if you go to if you play up with North Texas, you're going to have a specific type of kind of
Yep.
quasi air raid. Each one has their own tailored version. Like that at Houston, it's a spread that has. I want to say that the spread concepts they have. There's 159 shotgun pass plays alone.
I have heard that that's kind of the big thing is people are taking a lot of delay of games right out the gate because they just get overwhelmed with the playbook
there's a
when you
lot in
just
there.
fire it up and start going.
I mean, I think there's something like, again, just speaking on the Houston one, I think there's something like 60 different RPOs.
If it took you, okay, so if you went 9 hours yesterday,
Mhm.
and I'm assuming that by tomorrow, that's when the teenagers are going to be they're going to be put in like their 13-hour days
Oh yeah,
since Monday at 1 o'clock.
yeah, locked in.
And so by tomorrow, I think tomorrow is the day that people will start truly rage quitting NCAA 14 in the live play because there will be a mastery of the playbooks from the Young Bucks. They
Yeah.
have been putting in the
Yes.
hours. They're going Malcolm Gladwell. They're
Mhm.
going to try to condense that 10,000 hours
Into 3 days.
into 3 days into 3 days and just master everything.
Yeah, no, they're like,
I think that's the date.
yeah, you're already, you start finding the Mike Vicks of the world. What's his name? The Nick Harbor.
Yeah.
It's South Carolina.
Tied into South Carolina,
Yeah.
99 speed.
99 speed, 99 acceleration, 99 jumping. He has like 72 throw power. So if you If you run an option with him, like a throwback option, like where you split him out and then let him throw the ball, it's like, wait, what the hell? Yeah, no. There's also I saw some stuff floating around today. There are players that have over 99 speed. There are screenshots of players with 102 speed. So it's like there's some game breaking like weird gems in there. That's like, okay, this is gonna be. Not only that, the names, the name generator. Was a quarterback that I was recruiting named Pat Joe.
Well, there's somebody who was recruiting a quarterback named Jeff Epstein,
Yep,
which
saw that one.
seems problematic.
Do you send the plane to him or does he send his own?
He was from Ohio. He wasn't from
An
Hawaii. He was not. Yeah, that's the only island that we can. I mean, God, he's from the Caribbean. It's like, whoa, hey, well, all right, now that's a little too close there. But I've seen that there's also some guy did a TikTok who's like, I don't know who James Moore is or what he did to somebody, but he was a freshman quarterback at East Carolina that was a 12. And he had a throw power of 14. It was a great TikTok. And so, of course, what I did...
There's some guys who got done dirty.
I went in and I started looking at the roster for East Carolina. There is no James Moore as a quarterback at East Carolina. And so it may have been like an incoming freshman that didn't opt into the game or whatever. I feel like what happened was whoever made that TikTok just created that player, threw him on East Carolina, and was like, watch this. Because it was hilarious. He's like, what did this kid do to get a 12 as a quarterback rating? Like, how bad could you possibly be? And it's like East Carolina's coaches and that's one of the things that they go and they ask like coaches, like, all right, what do you feel for ratings on guys on your roster? It's like, was this kid just a walk-on that the quarterback's coach is like, we had to take him. His dad's like a big booster.
Yeah.
I mean, we had no choice here. 12. Screw this kid.
Or one of the game designers is like, this guy stole my girlfriend.
Yeah. I hate James Moore. Screw him. But yeah, they got some good names that are popping up on the name generator. Some bad, like Jeff Epstein. Not a good one. Not a good one at all. But they're going to throw in a lot of Easter eggs for you. I saw that, like, for when you go to, like, the coaching thing, like when you go in dynasty mode and you go coach, they'll have generic coordinators in some places, and they'll have, like, the
Al B. Cruton. Al first name, Ways B. Cruton is the last name.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But they're also throwing guys who are known alumni.
Mm-hmm.
Like, somebody said Daniel Jeremiah, he went to App State, played quarterback at App State. And so there is a, Jeremiah that is a coach at App State that they throw in Easter eggs the Easter eggs are great that they're throwing in there.
No, so I'm going to dedicate my life to that probably for the next couple of weeks.
Good. I'm really happy.
No,
for
it was a wonderful, wonderful mind dump.
Yeah.
Just turn the brain off, watch some summer league basketball, and play some college football.
Yeah, this Vancouver Ford text line text is fantastic, and they do need to do it. They need to have like a Key and Peele name generator.
Oh, there's some in there. Like
go just straight name generator, and it's like all of your recruits are like the East-West All-Star Game Key and Peele, where it's like McCrickleberry McCracken, and then it's like one white guy, Ben Smith, BYU.
I had one guy I was recruiting. His name was Daniel Ahu, and it's AH_YOU.
Oh,
kind of like a Ha Ha Clinton Dix kind of a deal. It's Ahu.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
just throw it out there, name generate it.
Yeah, no, there were some names in there as I was scrolling through. I don't know if it's a thing or not, but going through, there was not a lot of white corners.
Well, you just need to play with Iowa.
It was like, and this is in the recruiting classes. I was just like, did they do this on purpose?
Yeah, no.
It felt like it was built into it.
No, they did.
They kept the little realism.
Did. I mean, come on. By the way, Quinn Schulte, who's a corner at Iowa, next week he will be at Big Ten Media Days,
Hey.
and we have put in a request to interview Quinn. White corner, Iowa.
Following the steps of Cooper.
Yeah. Well, they played alongside each other. Both of them got hurt last year, but they had a wideout at corner on either side. But I was reading his profile. He is majoring in dentistry.
Oh.
And I'll be damned if you go and you look up his profile.
Great teeth.
That dude has got a set of chompers on him.
Good for him.
I
mean,
wonder how good of an interview he is. Is getting a good answer out like pulling teeth?
Oh, your dad jokes. Your dad jokes are good. Your dad jokes are good. You're on point. I tried to hold off as long as I could. But I was reading his bio. Sounds like a fascinating dude. So I was like, yeah, I'm in on him. Also, we put in a request, and I hope we get to interview him. Indiana has an offensive lineman that I just feel like I need to talk to him. I don't know why he would be there other than they know he is a fantastic interview. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's an interior offensive lineman. His name's Mike Caddick. This dude, he's got a phenomenal stash. He has got the head the size of a melon.
Yep.
I mean, he is
Easter Island statue.
And when you bring an
Like
offensive
on a
lineman
toothpick.
to a media day, you know he's just going to be a quote machine.
Yes, that's why you bring them.
Often
bring offensive linemen. They're always good.
Often does his press gatherings in a cutoff T-shirt, which I'm in for.
Little midriff.
I want the cutoff T-shirt at Big Ten Media Days. So Big Ten Media Days is next week in Indianapolis. At this time next week, we will be on the air with Big Ten Media Days. I'm excited for it. It's the new era for Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA. So Big Ten Media Days, Swag is going to be out there in Indianapolis, wrangling all the guests, and Dirt and Sprague, you and I, and Isaac and Suk. It may bleed over into Isaac and Suk as well.
Indeed.
With Big Ten Media Day interviews coming up next week from Indianapolis. All right, and then, look, maybe you should start playing with some of these guys, and so you can criticize them. To their face,
no,
be
no,
like,
I have legitimate questions for these guys because it's the first time that legally their names are in the game, and you can see. I've seen a couple TikToks with some players in some smaller schools. They see their rating and they're like 62.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to get this right, and I want to be like the guys at EA and be like, no, you need to get right.
My first on air bit on this station was Rop and I went down to Oregon Media Day, and Rop handed me a recorder and goes, just do whatever you want. And I was like, okay. And this was back when Rop and the Mop, Gavin Dawson and Isaac Rop had the Saturday show. And I went and the bit I did was your EA college football ratings. And Jackie Bates, the corner at the University of Oregon, I asked him about his EA ratings, and he got so upset.
Viscerally angry.
He was yelling because he was only a 98 speed. He was like, I am the fastest man in college football. He was. And so my bit on Rop and the Mop, first time I was on the air on the fan, was Oregon Ducks getting mildly to very upset about their EA ratings. And it was a big deal for them.
Yeah.
And then on the way home from Eugene, Rop and I were in the fan truck because that's back when the fan had our own truck.
Oh.
We had a big old truck. He's like, hey, when you make a pit stop. And I was like, oh, all right, where are we going? He's like, yeah, garbage truck just ran through my house the other day, so we got to stop and I got to take care of some insurance stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I sat in the truck and twiddled my thumbs as Rop dealt with the infamous garbage truck going through the front of his house.
Wow.
It was a day for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a day for me as intern fan man.
Isaac Robb and Evan Turner, both famous for having garbage trucks drive through their houses.
That's right. That's right. That's very true. All right. Let's get this show on the road, shall we?
No.
Okay. Nope. It is July 17th. The All-Star game was yesterday.
Yeah.
I have got some off the rails stuff that
certainly
we
was
can go
yesterday.
to. It was yesterday.
Yes.
It was yesterday. But, Paul Skeens throws hard. Otani
Hit ball
hit
far.
ball far. We all know who Jarren Duran is now from the Boston Red Sox.
Jalen Duran for the Detroit Pistons?
No, not Jalen. Jarren. Yeah. One more and they go. Streaking is where we start. 7 is greater than 2. That's simple math. Next on The Fan. All right, the Portland Trailblazers knock off the Washington Wizards last night. 82-80, Summer League. That's 2 in a row for the hometown team.
I'm babe.
Raise the banner. Wait, we're going to qualify for that tournament?
Yeah. No,
I think they have to win by the official word was a butt ton on Friday.
they can get there.
They haven't won anything by a butt ton. They've won 2
No.
games by 2 points apiece.
I'm big.
But last night it was another of that step forward. Donovan Clingan, you saw it yet again. Offensively, the struggles are going to continue. 3 of 10 from the field, but defensively, you're seeing that comfort level continue with Donovan Clingan, and like it's stupid to say that we're repeating it over and over and over again, but you take those little pieces of positivity and you say, all right, he's moving forward and progressing. And when you look at how the guy he was playing alongside, the 2nd overall pick, Alex Sarr last night, who he went completely off the rails,
Over 15.
historically bad game, 0 for 15 from the field, 0 for 7 from 3. And Donovan Clingan put him in a pretzel defensively, as did the rest of the Portland Trailblazers, because, I mean, it's not like he made any shots when Clingan was off the floor.
No, and just real quick, and I don't like the box score stuff too much, but
Nah.
Donovan Clingan is currently leading Summer League in rebounding and blocks.
No. Hey, all right.
12.3 rebounds, 4.3 blocks per game.
Don't overreact, though. It's Summer League still, but
this is
having the progress.
Having watched him up close now twice, just seeing how he moves, his feel, his length, his timing, his IQ, how he processes stuff. He's not behind. He's further along than I thought he would be.
I think when you look at those things too that he's been able to flash at times in long stretches too, the ability to rebound, and look, we always talk about this with great rebounders, it's feel for where the ball is coming off the rim, right? And being in the right spot. And there are times where he's not finding the closest guy and he's losing out on some of those rebounds, but you take it as, all right, where's the progression in all of this?
His
and he's
technique's
got
not
that.
perfect.
And then you see the high level basketball IQ with his ability to pass. I mean, he has flashed that in very long stretches. I thought game 2 was his best game, obviously, of doing that because he was initiating a ton of the offense in that regard. He is living up to expectations as being the number 7 pick, because you should not be surprised he is not a scorer.
Yeah. No, the offense, it's as far behind as I suspected it would be. And that was my question of like, it was like, oh, they're going to trade DeAndre Ayton. Okay. Good luck. Because how you're going to play that pick and roll with Scoot Henderson, have fun.
Yeah.
Because they're under that thing by about 4 feet. Because they're not going to, defenders aren't going to go anywhere near that. They're going to say, Scoot, go ahead and shoot. Donovan, go ahead and shoot. We don't care. But that's not what this is about right now. It's about what he can do defensively. And back-to-back games where he had game-altering defensive possessions. He gets switched out onto Jared McCain in the game before against Philadelphia. He gets the block on the jumper at 19 feet. And then he gets switched out on Bub Carrington, who's a very good athlete. For those that don't know, Carrington was picked 14th with the pick the Blazers traded for Denny Avdia, or one of the picks they sent for Denny Avdia. And he's a 6'5" guard out of Pittsburgh. He's fun. He's very fun. Very athletic, very bursty. He goes for the step back 3, and Donovan blocked a 3. And you go, oh. His size, like, I'm going to beat this drum as long as he's a Trailblazer for people to truly understand just how big this dude is. He's a 9'7" standing reach. He can stand on his tippy toes and grab the bleeping rim. Like, just think about that for a second. Like, just get up on his toes and grab the rim.
That's pretty big, dude.
He's enormous.
And I think his presence goes beyond just his sheer size, though, too. When you have a high basketball IQ, you can see it. You can see where people said he could be the number 1 overall pick, right? But you want a more polished player offensively with the number 1 overall pick. But what we have seen is all of these guys are having their struggles shooting the basketball right now.
With the exception of Reed Shepherd.
With the exception of Reed Shepherd, who's just
he's Mark Price 2.0.
Assassin.
he was
like
playing.
How did Kentucky lose?
Because they didn't start him. They brought him off the bench because DeJuan Wagner and Justin Edwards were higher level recruits. That's the game you play there. His pull up game is like star ready level pull up. And
You said
that-
pull up, right?
pull up.
Okay. Yep.
Up.
His pull up game.
Yes.
Yep.
That is what makes star shooters, star creators in the league, is the ability to shoot off the dribble, to hit pull up shots. He gets there in the most stereotypical white guy way. He's not bursty. He's not shifty. He just kind of gets you. He changes gears so fast that you go, oh. And then he just gets that free throw line, whap, and it's pure. He shoots a ball like Steve Nash, like Mark Price. Yes, I'm listing the white guys because he plays like those guys. Off like his ability to hit that pull up shot, it looks just like those guys. It's the most effortless looking thing.
And at this point, it isn't like pulling range out like Lillard or Curry.
No,
either.
we're talking about mid range pull up.
It is pull up, boop, buckets.
Pulling up at 15 feet and pulling up at 3-point line. I saw him do it at both levels probably a dozen times over the games that I watched. I was like, oh, okay.
You being down in Vegas, I want to get your thoughts because it does seem as if Donovan Clingan is getting a lot of chatter around NBA circles and across the league. I want to get some other thoughts of what you were hearing about the Portland Trail Blazers and the rookies that are standing out in Vegas from your days down there, covering it front and center, because Ryan Rupert, he looked like he was starting to click offensively last night.
Gear.
Jackie Tway, who we talked about yesterday, he came back down to earth, but still a little bit consistent. And then Chris Murray, people just hoping and waiting for more. I want to get your thoughts on Vegas Summer League and what people are saying down there about the Blazers and the rookies across the league. That after Rust with SportsCenter.
This is an Open Championship Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Langdon Farms Golf Club.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, Team USA continuing their ramp up to Olympic play this morning in Abu Dhabi against Serbia. The U.S. rolling to a 105-79 win. Steph Curry led the way with 24 points. Bam Adebayo with 17, and Anthony Edwards 16 points. Nikola Jokic 16 points, 11 rebounds for Serbia. Team USA now heads to London for games against South Sudan and Germany. The Blazers with a couple days off at Vegas Summer League. They next play on Friday against Tijon Salon and the Charlotte Hornets. That's 8 o'clock on ESPN2. The Athletic reporting Bucks forward Chris Middleton had arthroscopic surgeries on both of his ankles this offseason, but is expected to be ready for the start of the NBA season. And the Open Championship from Royal Troon in Scotland begins tonight with Justin Leonard, Todd Hamilton, and Jack McDonald teeing off at 10:35 Pacific. Rory McIlroy tees off at 2:09 a.m. He's plus 800 to win. Former Duck Wyndham Clark and Brooks Koepka at 6:26 a.m. Tiger Woods at 6:37 and Scotty Scheffler at 7:10 a.m. He is plus 550 to win. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
It's coming, The Fan at Big Ten Media Day, with the coaches and players you want to hear. July 23rd through the 25th on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
British Bulldog, follow Roddy Piper, followed by the British Bulldog. I see what you're doing there. DJ Rust over there on Open Championship Week, which gets underway like at 4 a.m.
10:35 p.m. Pacific.
10:35
The first
p.m.
group, yeah.
That's right in my wheelhouse. I get to watch live golf before I go to bed. That's awesome.
They have tee times spanning close to 10 hours over there.
Yeah.
10:35 p.m. Pacific to, I believe it was 8:27.
Yeah, I feel
AM.
we could do that here. We could do that here.
Starting off at 6 to
You
4.
go 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could do that here. And you can play that, especially because they're all good golfers.
Mm-hmm.
You could play that at the speed of those golfers. Maybe put Patrick Cantlay at the very end, so he's not creating a log jam there with his 8-minute routine before he hits a damn ball. But if you could do that here, because I've teed off at 4 o'clock, and you can get in with plenty of light during the summer right now. We could do that here. We could.
The sun now setting before 9 o'clock, though. Still.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
A little
Or
evening
not
golf.
still, but again.
Yeah, just give him some glow balls. Get him on out there. All right, you're down in Vegas for Summer League. What were the impressions from the national pundits of this Portland Trailblazers team, Donovan Clingan, and kind of the direction that they're going in right now?
Yeah, let's start with Clingan. I talked to quite a few coaches, execs, other independent, or I should say, other market media members and a bunch of national media members, and the consensus across the board on Donovan Clingan was he has got the goods defensively. Unquestionably, like they were all like, yeah, no, rebound check, passing check, shot blocker. He's easily the best.
You know it when you see it.
There was a lot. Like I was sitting with Kyle Newback, who covers the Philadelphia 76ers during that game, and we were laughing as the 76ers took turns driving, going, nah, I'm good, and just taking a U-turn as they went in the paint when he was in there. And then when Alex Reese got on the floor, look, I love Alex. He's probably going to get himself a two-way deal out of Summer League the way he shot the ball. But he's 6'9". There's a strong difference between 6'9" and 7'3". I mean, it was night and day. It was one was a stop sign and one was a please slow down sign. Like that was really the difference. And a lot of the front office folks I talked to, they were like, I don't care that he can't score. Like you see what he does and how valuable he is defensively. And a lot of it was, it's going to be interesting to see how he grows. I mentioned the other day when I came on the game one, he ran out of gas because he was so amped, and he didn't really want to concede that was the case. He kind of laughed at, we went back and forth, and he's like, yeah, I was a little nervous. Game two, he was so much more under control. You could tell he wasn't like completely gassed every single time he came off the floor. Game three, even like he just looked more comfortable, and how quickly he's getting comfortable and how much growth he's showing game to game to game. That's when you see somebody like that where you just go, oh.
And this is where, I want to revisit what you said. Nobody cares about the offensive side of the ball. Well, and they really shouldn't right now. He is a facilitator. He has the ability to pass. He's rebounder, and he can help create for other players around him. And this is where Portland is at right now. And I was talking about this when you were gone, in that Donovan Clingan feels like a good fit for where the Blazers are right now, because where the Blazers are right now is you want to get Scoot to a point and Donovan Clingan to a point, and then fill in the rest of the guys, whether it's Tumani Kamara or Ryan Rupert, Chris Murray, to where you have all of the pieces of the role players around for when you finally get that guy who pops. Now, finding that guy who is the scorer, creator, star type in the NBA is far easier said than done.
Yeah.
But you're seeing the pieces and how you go through a rebuild, in that we need to find X, Y, and Z. And then once we get that star, you just wait for that moment in the draft where you find that guy who is that creator. That's where Portland is at right now.
Yes.
And I think with Donovan Clingan, it is one of those ones where you go, okay, his presence, both physically, just how big he is, and the way that he can help create for other people around him, whether that is a solid screener, fun to see, rebounder, passer, those three things right there. When you find that guy, all of a sudden you're ready to take off a lot faster.
Yeah, and it was funny just talking to a lot of the national folks and front office folks. The same thing kind of came up, like Cooper and Donovan. That'd be quite a defensive backbone, Cooper Flagg and Donovan Clingan. Did you see the thing that came up with Cooper and Donovan?
Mm-mm.
So Cooper went through and visited UConn on a official visit, and they took pictures together wearing their mom's jerseys.
Oh.
Their moms played together at Maine.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, played together at Maine, yeah. So
how about that? Two of Maine's finest coming to Portland, Oregon,
yeah.
to play together. I think we need to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
rig it, Adam Silver.
Reunite them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they both took pictures in their mom's Maine jerseys.
Sweet.
Who both play together at their UConn visit. So it's fun little tidbit there. But everybody sat there and goes, like, it's funny. You hear some national media folks talk about, I don't know what the Blazers are doing. Every front office exec's like, yeah, no, they're going to suck and they're going to get one of the top 5 picks. Like, we know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what they're going to do.
Well, you hope they get one of the top 5 picks.
I mean, look, I tweeted it out. 22.5 wins. That is the line at Vegas. Everyone's like, I think they could win 37. No, and no.
And when you get to a
told you the
point where
same
you're
thing
like,
last year.
are we going to be able to win 37 games? They'll go, ripcord.
Yeah, no, they're going to steer that thing into a cliff or off the cliff, whatever your metaphor is. They're going to suck on purpose because this is a part of the process. And a lot of what, I've heard people, well, they got to trade Ayton. No, they don't. Oh, they got to trade Jeremy. Well, it's an open. So let's talk about where the Blazers are and kind of transactionally and what could or could not happen. As I understand it, Jeremy going to LA was something that was aided by his representatives at Clutch, and that they had discussions with the Lakers of like, hey, are you willing to give up the capital to get Jeremy? If so, we can talk to Portland and see if that's something because that's how for those that don't know, that's how most transactions in the NBA come about. Agents facilitate them. Hey, we were talking to so-and-so and they're interested in our guy. We'd kind of like to get him there. Is there a package there that makes sense for you guys? And if the answer is no, then they try to find another way and they saber rattle and then you get what happens last year. Or you get something that goes, hey, yeah, you know what? We aren't in the hurry to move off Jeremy, but the Lakers include both their first-round picks. Yeah, we could do that. And as I understand it, there was not agreement. There was discussion that the Lakers would be willing to give up both first-round picks for Jeremy. And then when it came down to it, Rob Pelinka balked at it. And so now we're at this standstill where the Lakers are missing out on everyone and everything. And even the Gary Trent Jr.'s of the world. And it's very funny to watch everybody say, or Lakers fans say, everybody wants to come to LA, and then have them get spurned because their front office is so inept.
Yeah, Gary Trent Jr., by the way, going to Milwaukee to play for the league minimum after several teams were giving him like mid-level looks.
Yeah, it's
he wanted to play with Dame.
Yeah, that's his guy.
Yeah, he wanted to go back and
simple.
take pictures in the airplane
Back of the plane
bathroom again.
With the hoodie up.
Yeah, that's right.
Shout out to Mara for putting those pictures back on the timeline the other day.
Super weird photo shoot, but great nonetheless. Rupert and Murray, what is the sentiment around those two? Because those are two guys that we were hoping to see large strides from, and we saw Rupert kind of get going a little bit scoring-wise last night against Washington, and more efficient shooting, but not quite where you wanted to be yet.
No, I think you're seeing the growth from Rupert for sure. I asked him about how much weight he's put on. He said he's 5-10 pounds, and he's legitimately bigger. He's much more solid.
Bigger.
Yeah. He's growing into his body still because he grew an inch and a half plus last year. He's 6'8.5", 6'9" now. It's actually kind of funny how long and rangy he is. When you see him walking next to other NBA players, you're like, good God, dude. I've liked what I've seen from him. I like the aggressiveness. I like the fact that he's trying to handle the ball more. I like that he's trying to do more. And the same thing is true of Chris Murray. And Chris is maybe harder on himself than any player on this team. And it's something he needs to figure out is he beats himself up too much and it can affect his game. That's the thing that I look at and I just kind of go, okay, if he can get that, because when he's playing with confidence, he's really solid. You see the passing, you see the rebounding, you see the defense. Like you're like, oh, okay, the shooting is the thing though. And if he just shoots in rhythm, he's fine. But if he doesn't, and he starts questioning his mechanics, and he starts checking his confidence, or he puts pressure on himself, he misses horribly. But he's an insane worker, and I think he will figure it out. If he doesn't, it's going to keep him from getting additional contracts in the NBA, because 6'8" guy that can dribble, pass, shoot, and defend is a role player on every team in the NBA.
Team.
And that's the thing for him. Roops is still like he's a year away, I think, from contributing, but he's also a kind of guy now where I think if somebody rolls an ankle and you throw Roops out there for 10 minutes for a 6-game stretch, I think he's going to look competent now.
And that is not slow development. That's expected development out of Ryan Rupert, because everybody said he's a 2 to 3 year project. And this is entering year 2. So it'll be the end of year 2, entering year 3 is where you're going to start reaping the rewards of that. But development needs to continue.
Yeah.
And the good news is we've seen growth physically and from a maturity standpoint. We were talking about this when you came on the first time from down in Vegas. It is those small little movements that he's making when the ball gets swung around, and he's feeling more comfortable, and he's aware of what they're trying to do.
Yes.
Like, it's starting to click with him how to play in the NBA style, because we saw him freeze a lot last year in Summer League, and when he was getting early run with the Blazers, like there was those deer in headlight moments.
Yeah, he flat out said, like, when he got here, it was just too much for him. Because it was his first time overseas, and, being away from his family and the bright lights of Summer League, and your first time in the NBA. Here, think about this. He's younger than Donovan. He's younger than Donovan Clingan. He turned 20 May 31st.
All right.
He's just a little baby. Just a little baby.
Yep.
So I think he's right on pace as far as his development arc. Bryce McGowens and Justin Minaya, the two-way guys that they have. Justin's actually showing some real growth. He's been able to knock down his shots, make some plays. I've had a bunch of people say, why are they bringing back Justin Minaya? I will tell you flat out why they brought him back. It's because of his attitude. It's because of his mentality. It's because he's a tone setter. Because he comes in and he's with the remix. Like, that's what he's there for. For those guys to go, this is a guy who comes in every single day, works his butt off, doesn't complain about anything. This is how you want to make it in the league. You want to get, like, there's guys they brought through the remix last year that just help. Mo Harkless.
Yep.
Mo thought he was about that life and he was good enough. He was going to come back, and he didn't want to work. And he was like, nah, this isn't for me. Like, that was the Justin Minaya is there to go, this is what it takes to be here. You come in, you get your attitude right. You get your mentality right. You work this hard. It is a culture thing. That is what he is there for. And he's a great dude. So you have this positive attitude with a hard work ethic and a mentality that drives.
And if they start winning too many games, you bring him up.
You're not wrong.
All right. Good stuff from Summer League, though. There is signs of positivity, but still a long ways to go with this franchise. Nobody overreact.
No.
22.5 wins.
22.5 wins, guys. And even then,
let's squint at that.
that's a really good number.
that.
That's a really good number.
All right. Let's shift gears a little bit. SEC Media Days are going on, and no rat poison. No rat poison going to be taken. Fun with audio, because Nick Saban is one of us. Next on The Fan. SEC Media Days going on down in where are they, in Alabama? Down in Alabama for that. For Hoover, Alabama. They do Destin, Florida for the spring meetings, and I believe Hoover, Alabama for their media days.
I thought they did Dallas this year.
Oh, they're in Dallas?
I thought they did.
Boy, Dallas is like the epicenter of all things sports right now, with the All-Star game being down there too. That'd be a hell of a deal.
Dallas.
It is in Dallas? Yeah. Golly. I had no idea where they were even doing this thing from. They moved out of Hoover, huh?
I mean, Saban's gone, so they don't have to.
Well, that is true.
They don't have to bow and kiss the ring anymore.
That is true. Does anybody care where media days are? Because they try to put them in like destination places like Vegas or,
Indianapolis.
in Indianapolis for Big Ten media days. It's a weird thing.
I think, look, putting it in like big convention cities makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which Indianapolis,
like Hoover. Oh,
yeah, Indianapolis, Dallas, Vegas. I mean, those are those your three biggest convention cities? Chicago,
Miami.
Yeah,
Miami. They've got like a ridiculous amount of convention center
and hotels.
Space. Yeah. But at the SEC Media Days, we talked about this yesterday. Nick Saban himself, as an analyst, is saying he didn't believe that Alabama was going to be one of the top two teams in the SEC this year. He claimed the secondary was not going to be as good because, I don't know, they lost their secondary coach named Nick Saban. I think that was like a source of pride for him, being like, I think they can get improved, but they're just not there right now.
Well, also they lost both corners to the NFL, and their starting safety transferred to Ohio State.
Yep, they've lost quite a bit in that secondary, but Tyler Booker, an offensive lineman, he's not having any of this from Nick Saban.
Great line.
Rat poison, I'm not taking it.
He would get mad at me if I felt the way about what he said, because he always used to say, don't let some guy that lives in the house, live in their mom's basement, determine how you feel. So I'm not going to let a guy who play golf all day determine how I feel.
I love it. I'm not going to let a guy who plays golf all day determine how I feel. He's already out of the game. He's been retired for 6 months. He knows nothing about football anymore, that Nick Saban guy. I'm not going to let him determine. Tyler Booker, this is why you bring offensive linemen to media days. They're great. They're fantastic. On top of that, Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports, he tweeted this out. Nick Saban spends many of his mornings golfing. He hits the course around 7:30 a.m., and within a couple of hours, his wife is texting him his to-dos. Quote, I can't get to the ninth hole without getting text of this is what you got to do. At least let me finish my round. End quote. Dellinger adds, he's one of us. He is one of us.
He is.
Miss Terry gives 0 Fs about Nick Saban's golf round. She is sending the list of texts of what we need to do. It's like, don't you know I'm lining up for a birdie putt right now? I got a 65-foot bender that for some reason I think I can make. And you're texting me that I need to go to the grocery store on my way home? Let me finish the round here first, Miss Terry.
I mean, have you noticed also Saban a little scruffy now too?
Yeah, he's got a little bit of beard going on. He's living that retired life. I can't wait for him to show up.
Stop dyeing the hair too.
He needs to just show up with like hair down to his shoulders, beard, and to just be like Jesus Saban.
There you go.
And then if
Stop letting the orange hair dye go to work.
Yeah, if Kalen DeBoer loses like 2 games, he's gonna show up in his white robes with his new Jesus hair, be like, I've returned.
Yeah.
I'm back.
I am your savior.
Forget the 3 days. It'll be 3 losses.
Three
and
losses.
I return. And I return. Nick Saban is back to win football games.
Or he'll show up in a Slayer shirt and let down the ponytail, just like John Clayton, right?
There you go.
In his mom's basement.
Segment.
In his mom's basement too. Nonetheless, all right. Fun with audio from SEC Media Days. Love it. Big Ten Media Days coming up next week. The Fan will be there. We'll have all the interviews with all the guests that you want to hear from every team in the Big Ten. All 18 of them going to be represented down there. But where we got to kick off next hour number 2. Rip the Band-Aid off. The NCAA is finally ready to do it. This is actually transformative in the world of college sports. Next on the Fan. Hey, what's Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Wednesday afternoon.
Is it a William Wallace Wednesday?
Yeah, dude. He's been crushing it with these opens. Even though Suit got upset yesterday at a Fat Bastard Open for primetime.
Yeah.
Did you know that most of his lines as Fat Bastard were improvised?
That seems about right.
Yeah.
Rob Lowe said the whole he looks like a baby.
Yeah.
The baby back ribs, that whole thing was improvised. He was on, God, who was he on with? I can't remember, but he was like, how did you not crack? He goes, I never crack.
Oh.
Rob Lowe's like, he goes, I cracked once. And it was during Wayne's World when Dana Carvey took the hammer to the robotic hand. He's like, I thought it was going to strangle you. and he goes, and I didn't, and if you watch the clip back, you could see me starting to crack, and they cut it very short. And he goes, and I never want to be responsible for ruining a perfect scene.
A
So he goes,
genuine take.
He goes, so that's why when you watch bloopers of like Community or 30 Rock, anything he's made appearances in, he's never on any of the blooper reels because he never breaks.
Love it. Love it. He was great as Chris Traeger. Yeah, that was his finest work, was Chris Traeger on Parks and Rec. All right. Hey, we've got big news in the world of college sports. This has been a long time coming, but recently the president of the NCAA, Charlie Baker, has...
It's like a made-up name.
Politician right there. He has proposed to the NCAA Council a structure that would allow the autonomous 4 conferences, the Big Ten, SEC, ACC, and Big 12, to break off from the NCAA and create their own governing body for college athletics. And that is huge.
We've been talking about this for 2 years.
But this is something that the NCAA has always been apprehensive at allowing to happen. And I think that there's a lot of working parts, even though this seems like it is very easy and it seems like something that should have happened a very long time ago. Because, look, if the autonomous 4 break off and they create their own governing body, they don't play, and they currently don't, and this has been since 2014 when the autonomous 4 became a thing, or they were the autonomous 5. Pac-12 RIP. But they've been operating under a completely different set of rules to begin with for over a decade now. And when you look at the fact that if they have their own governing body that they can control, it doesn't affect college football at all, because of the fact that, look, how many group of 5 teams have ever made the college football playoff? Under the 12-team playoff, there will be representation from the group of 5. But the reality is that the college football playoff is operated under its own umbrella in selecting teams, in the division of revenues that they have, everything in selection process. It is completely apart from the NCAA as it is, and that is largely because of the Power 4, Autonomous 4 conferences having so much power and control. If they have their own governing body, it will be very interesting to see how do you integrate an NCAA basketball tournament and the 12-team college football playoff, which does have a spot for a group of 5 team, because under a new governing body, they would be completely separate entities in and of themselves. So the Mountain West, the MAC, Sun Belt, American Athletic Conference, all of those would operate completely separate under separate rules, separate standards, that scheduling,
this is
way you
1,
pay
Division,
players.
Division 2, Division 3, or Division 1, 2A. Like, this is a real division of football that hasn't happened in almost 40 years.
And they are saying we will have that separation occur, and the NCAA finally agrees this is our best course of action. How does the money get divvied up between the autonomous 4 and whatever governing body they create under their umbrella? How do they split that money with the NCAA, with conferences like the Big Sky who do compete in an NCAA tournament? Will we see those go away, and all you have is basically a non-power conference tournament and a fully self-sustaining group of 4 or autonomous 4 NCAA tournament that crowns their own champion.
Well, we've already seen that they're going to do the expansion for the NCAA tournament. Like that's coming already. So I think what you're going to end up seeing is the division across all this stuff is going to be across sports. There's going to be an individual football one only. There's going to be a basketball one only, and then everything else can fall under the NCAA.
Think of like all of the ripple effects of it, how it affects recruiting, the transfer portal. If the autonomous four are saying, you guys can do whatever the hell you want to do, there's no way we are going to play by the same rules as you guys. And how does that trickle down and trickle up effect that will affect the NCAA schools as opposed to this autonomous four governing body? I mean, there's a lot of working parts, and I think a lot of it leads all back to all the lawsuits and the revenue sharing that will occur in the autonomous four, under the autonomous four umbrella. The NCAA is not going to want to be in that business. They want to go back to amateurism.
Yes, and there's a line that Dennis Dodd has in his article up on CBS Sports he's got a lot of anonymous quotes because that's how this has to be done right now because nothing can legally be shared because cases haven't been settled. But he goes, one of the decision makers at one of the universities says we don't want Division III schools telling us what our roster cap can be. They shouldn't have a choice. They shouldn't have any say. They should, and they're right. Like this is
on infractions either. Like
yes.
the ridiculous thing is that you will have like infractions committees that have you on the councils who are laying down all the rules, like Linfield. A great football program for Division III. They are not on the same planet as the University of Oregon or Oregon State or Portland State even.
And they should have no say in this. This is it's a little taxation without representation situation, and they do need to break away. It's going to be a little less bloody than a Revolutionary War, but you're gonna see like some feelings are going to get hurt. Some schools are going to get left behind. Some changes that if you're old dyed in the wool, I want my college football the way I used to get it. Lied to. You can go watch Division II football.
Well, and
that's what you're gonna get.
The NCAA Council, which has been proposed this by Charlie Baker, 14 of the 40 members are from the power conferences.
Yeah, it's not enough.
In that therein lies the problem with every way that the NCAA is run, is because you have university presidents who do and chancellors who do control all of the decisions that are being made. They live in the world of academics. We sit there and we talk about this all the time when conference realignment, right? These are university presidents that are making decisions on a multi-billion-dollar athletic
and they have no business doing it.
And they don't truly understand the ramifications of it. Now you take that and you amplify it by, hey, you've got a president at a university which has 2,000 students is making decisions for a university that competes on an athletic base where they bring in 80,000 student or fans to a college football game.
Yeah.
And they have 20,000 students enrolled in the university.
I would say that
doesn't make sense.
Ohio State and Michigan, aren't they churning out like 18,000 graduates a year, something like that?
It's ridiculous.
It's insane.
But therein lies the big issues with the NCAA. But Charlie Baker is saying, all right, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's go down the road that we all know is best for college athletics. And I think we're going to see it very soon. The Autonomous Four are going to kind of split off. What that means for Oregon State and Washington State, we do have a little bit of news on that as well. I need to go off the rails today, but I feel like we got to transition into this.
Yeah.
Because I've got a story that we got to talk about.
Talk to the story. Okay.
Because it's a pressing question, but we'll get to that in the back half of the show.
Okay.
There is news for Oregon State and Washington State, and I think it's really good news.
You're not dead yet.
Not by a long shot, because of what has recently come out from Brett McMurphy of the Action Network. Next on The Fan. Brett McMurphy of the Action Network has been working the phones and working the folks down at SEC Media Days. And he has quite the report up at the Action Network. And Brett McMurphy, I still don't know why he left ESPN or why ESPN let him go.
And I think it was
He's a great newsbreaker.
he was being let go, which was at the time it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, because he is a newsbreaker, and this is where he thrives,
Yeah.
is the realignment type stuff. As Florida State and Clemson inch closer and closer to sweet release from the ACC, which they are fighting for, McMurphy is reporting that the Big Ten and the SEC are both out on Florida State, especially in conference realignment. And there are several reasons as to why the Big Ten and SEC do not want Florida State at this juncture. Wouldn't be prudent. Financially, it doesn't make sense for either one of the conferences. Big Ten already has 18 teams that they're slicing the pie with. SEC has 16 teams that, as we heard Greg Sankey say, they're very comfortable with right now. And Florida State doesn't help the Big Ten with any of its partners, like when they brought in Oregon and Washington, which they got, as they said, 50 cents on the dollar until, for the first 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get the full share. They brought them in to facilitate having a regional partnership with USC and UCLA.
Yeah.
Big Ten bringing Florida State in does not do that at all. Regionally, it doesn't make sense. Not that regionality means anything at all in our world of college sports right now. But then you would have to expand down to bring in Clemson as well to get you to even 20. And then are you going to bring in 2 more to get you to 22 so they have a pocket and a pod down in the South? Probably. But that does not make sense. But I think the bigger issue here with Florida State is that both the SEC and the Big Ten do not view Florida State as a partner that they want to work with.
Which I found that part of it interesting. Yes, Florida State, no, it's shocking. Pain in the ass to deal with. That shouldn't be surprising to anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a booster group that is very deep and very crazy. That's been well documented. It's not Miami, but it's close. Beyond their prowess in market, they're not the brand they used to be. In the late or
Continued dominance with Bobby.
Yeah, Bowden. Yeah.
My gosh, sorry.
The late 90s, early 2000s. You don't have that necessary cachet. That market is not in like the most insane thing ever. It's Florida's a good market, but it's not a diehard sports market. They're diehard sports fans there as it pertains to college football, but you're not talking about getting a hold of a population center that, networks are just screaming for. So that part of it's kind of like an interesting question. But I did find it interesting, though, that the SEC, the Big Ten not being in on them, I was like, that's not surprising. The SEC not being in on them was a bit of a surprise.
And there is more to that because within the not being viewed as a good partner, one, they threw ESPN under the bus in their lawsuits. That is not going to sit well with the SEC, who has a massive deal with ESPN right now, right?
But they also did have the point that the ESPN locked them into a deal for, 18 years?
Yeah, but at the time, ACC was looking for security.
Mm-hmm.
They got security at that time to keep themselves above water. But when they went out and they said they're throwing everybody's financials out in these lawsuits because they're unhappy with the ACC, that's not sitting well with SEC presidents. Also, we have to remember, who is Florida State's biggest rival? It's the Florida Gators.
Mm-hmm.
So you have politics that are going to be at play here, and they have not worked well together within the state of Florida even to get things done, Florida and Florida State. So on top of, throwing the media partner under the bus to try to get out of the ACC, which is the strongest media partner now with the Southeastern Conference, you have Florida doesn't not want to give them any semblance of an advantage because right now Florida is they're spinning their tires in the mud because of the fact that they can't get it out of their own way, and they're lapping Florida State financially. Why would they say, hey, come on board,
Here's a
let's
life
have a
raft."
level playing field with you? They don't want to give that. And then you take into account, all right, who are they recruiting with in Tallahassee, Florida, where the location of Tallahassee, where it is. Then you bring in Georgia, Alabama, Auburn. Both the Mississippi schools
They're all
are all
fighting
right
over the
there,
same-
and they're
yeah.
fighting over the same piece of the pie in the recruiting trail. And so you're also looking at it going, all right, is it advantageous for us to bring them in? When you bring in Texas and Oklahoma, what you are doing is saying, all right, now we have an even bigger footprint in our recruiting grounds because we're going to be playing games in the state of Texas. We get to say, hey, we'll get you home. We'll play a game against Texas, and that's going to be in conference. You expand your recruiting footprint in that regard. Same reason why the Big Ten was so willing to bring in the LA schools right away. It is because they said, we can get into California and expand our recruiting base even more. You don't need to do that with Florida State.
Because you're already there with
You-
SEC country.
There is a caveat to what all of them are saying. And oh, by the way, McMurphy said that he's already talked to 3 university presidents in the SEC right now who have said hard no on Florida State joining. They need 12 of the 16 presidents to vote yes for Florida State.
So you're already
And you
one
are-
vote short.
You're already 1 vote short, and you're not even out of the ACC yet. There is one caveat here, though, and it is the Big Ten would be willing to take on Florida State and Clemson if the ACC dissolves completely. And this is where
because it would give them nowhere to go.
it would give them but then you would have North Carolina, Virginia,
Yeah.
which are both coveted by both the SEC and the Big Ten because
Which
the
is weird.
academics matter, and then you
It
have
doesn't.
basketball. No, but it does because who makes the decisions?
Yeah, I know.
The people that
Yes.
make the decisions are university presidents, and they care about that crap.
They want to sit there and say, "Well, we've got North Carolina and Virginia in our stable in our conference now. It's no big deal." It's like Buffy. Nobody cares.
But they are also very good at basketball, and they have a little bit of prestige coming in there.
I mean,
it-
Clemson and Florida State clear them by figurative miles
In what?
in prestige in sports.
I don't know about that.
Look,
Because North Carolina is-
basketball for sure.
Baseball at both Virginia and North Carolina. Florida State has a good baseball program. They lap them in basketball. You don't want to bring in teams that, I mean, in all honesty, you don't want to bring in teams that are going to beat you in football.
No, but I mean, but
See Rutgers.
the level.
I'm
though,
with
the
you.
difference between football and basketball.
I don't get the infatuation with North Carolina and Virginia. I'm just going off of what
Oh, yeah,
I'm
no,
reading.
well,
I'm
yeah.
going, huh? But I'm with you on that. But they love their academics,
Mm-hmm.
even though North Carolina quite literally made up a major
Hey.
for their athletics. But if the ACC
Duke would never.
does dissolve and implodes completely, that is when you would see the SEC and the Big Ten being active. This is why it's great news for the Beavs and the Cougs. Because then the ACC is wildly motivated to get more teams in their conference. If Florida State and Clemson leave, then the ACC is saying, all right, where do we go for expansion? And then you would move out west to create a pod with Cal and Stanford out in the ACC. That could potentially give the Beavs and the Cougs a life raft that they've been seeking. If Florida State, and that could lead them to the Big 12, by the way. Both Florida State and Clemson, they would go to the Big 12, and it would be a lateral move financially, but with the flexibility of the grant of rights to where if something does happen down the road, there would be a spot in the Big 10 or the SEC.
Find another landing spot.
But if Clemson and Florida State leave and the ACC is saying we need to expand, they would probably expand by 4. Okay? And this is why they would expand by 4. They would want to come out west and get 2 teams out west. At a minimum 2 teams to pair with Cal and Stanford. The Beavs and the Cougs having $50 million apiece over the next 2 years. So you get $100 million. That's a nice little life raft that they can buoy up and say, hey, we don't need a big check to keep up with the Joneses. We've already got a little bit to, grease our pockets as of right now.
We can chill for a year or two.
And it gives them that regionality that they're looking for. Also, East Carolina has been tied to the North Carolina schools. So if you want to keep in North Carolina and NC State, apparently the politicians in North Carolina are saying, hey, let's bring North Carolina State up. That would be your third team. Then you come back out west, San Diego State is one that's rumored to be, and so then you would have 5 schools on the West Coast. You would add East Carolina, and they still would retain their seat at the table for Autonomous 4. That is probably the most likely scenario if Florida State and Clemson get their way, and the Big Ten and the SEC stay adamant that they will not bring on either one of those schools.
Yeah, you think in a world of expansion that the SEC and the Big Ten would be trying to get to 20. It just feels like that's the number to get to. We in the new FBS subdivisions and our divisions and how they're talking about bringing it up. You keep hearing 20 and 40, 20 and 40, 20 and 40. You just keep hearing it over and over and over again. Maybe part of the deal here is the Big Ten and the SEC want to sit out and wait the other conferences out and then just take the best available. Instead of having to deal with the political ramifications of idiots in North Carolina saying, no, you need to take East Carolina and North Carolina State too. It's like, no, we're not going to take them. We're going to take the one school. Otherwise, you all can go to hell.
Yep.
Because that's the reality. And that you saw it happen in Oregon to an extent of politicians here were like, well, we should tie Oregon to Oregon State. And Oregon basically said, do you want one school to get all the money, or do you want no schools to get the money?
They gave them the GFY, deuces. And that's why you have Calamoni down in UCLA and Cal, where UCLA is going to be peeling off $10 million a year for Cal.
Here you go. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Don't spend it all in one place. But and I think I think the more I think about it, that's where I'm ending up, is that they're just going to wait until there's a dissolution either of the ACC and you don't have any other landing spots and you've got all the leverage, because it's borne out over the last 5 years that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to have all the leverage. Mm-hmm. The Big 12 could have had all the leverage. The Pac-12 could have had all the leverage. They screwed it over. Those two conferences are going to have all the leverage. And I know I've said this a million times now. I think that they'll eventually get the leverage to the point to tell Vanderbilt to go to hell, to tell Northwestern to go to hell. Like, just, sorry, guys. Look, you can be here for other sports, but for football, you got to go.
Not these ones. Yeah. I think if the Big Ten gets to 20, it'll be, if the ACC falls apart, they go and they say, Notre Dame, you can't play the game you've been playing anymore.
Yep.
Come home. And then they go and they try to get North Carolina.
Yeah.
And they say,
that would make sense.
We're going to get Notre Dame and North Carolina. We're at 20. The SEC is currently at 16 teams.
You go pick up Clemson and Florida State.
They could get Clemson, Florida State, Virginia, and then
North Carolina State?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know. Miami, maybe?
I think it'd be between those two schools, probably, right? Because North Carolina State, as much as they don't have they're not like, but also like they've been making deep runs in the NCAA tournament. They've been making deep runs as a football team. Like they've been a top 25 football team, like 4 out of the past 6 years? And they finished in the top 25?
I don't know.
Like they've been,
sounds about right.
They've been there. Like they don't have the name recognition yet, but as far as like committing to the game, as far as financially, monetarily, they're there.
Yeah.
So does it end up being those two?
Yeah.
I think that's probably where I would go.
Yeah.
Probably.
Is that a question?
Yeah. Probably question mark.
Good question.
So that's
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Notre Dame can't sit there anymore. They can't play there. Well, we're going to take our NBC money and be good. It's like, no, you don't get to do it.
Especially if the ACC dissolves.
Yeah.
If the ACC dissolves, that's where their scheduling partner is with their hybrid football and all of their other sports. And so they would need to find a home. Yeah. And the Big Ten isn't going to be like, we're not going to take the deal that you took with the ACC. You will be a full-fledged member if you join.
Yeah, you don't get to have one foot in just to get all the benefits.
But that's the latest news right there.
Yeah. And there's a lot there to deal with. Come up here on our worst day on the web. There's a million things going on in the world of politics, but there's one thing that popped up on my feed that I just thought This is the dumbest possible timeline. And we'll get to that and more coming up here on Danny Dusty. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
You ever had a Big Kahuna Burger?
This is an Open Championship Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Langdon Farms Golf Club.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, Team USA continuing their ramp up to Olympic play this morning in Abu Dhabi against Serbia. The U.S. rolling to a 105-79 win. 24 points for Steph Curry. Bam Adebayo with 17, and Anthony Edwards with 16 points. Nikola Jokic, 16 points, 11 boards for Serbia. Team USA now heads to London for games against South Sudan and Germany. Blazers with a couple days off at Las Vegas Summer League. They next play on Friday against the Charlotte Hornets. That's an 8 o'clock tip on ESPN2. The Athletic reporting Bucks forward Chris Middleton had arthroscopic surgeries on both of his ankles this offseason, but is expected to be ready for the start of the season. And in golf, Open Championship from Royal Troon in Scotland begins tonight. Justin Leonard, Todd Hamilton, and Jack McDonald teeing off at 10:35 p.m. Pacific. Rory McIlroy tees off at 2:09 a.m. He is plus 800 to win. Former Duck Wyndham Clark and Brooks Koepka at 6:26 a.m. Tiger Woods at 6:37, and Scotty Scheffler starts his round one at 7:10 a.m. He is 550 to win. Plus 550. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Man, that sucks!
I don't know about you guys. Probably my favorite movie is like political thriller.
Oh,
Like a spy,
Huh.
a good spy movie.
yeah, okay.
That's my like,
Political thriller.
I mean, like
Yeah.
spy movies.
So you're big, yeah, but you're big on like the shows too, like Jack Ryan,
Yes.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
in anything in that vein, that is my vein.
Yeah,
That is my
the
jam.
whole CIA
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, I work.
Designated Survivor.
Yeah.
We got what is it? I think it's the Terminal List right now.
Yep.
on Prime Video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's dark,
That one is very dark.
Yeah.
but also we do stuff to our military that we don't like to talk about.
Well, ain't that the truth? That's
Yeah.
Chris Pratt, right?
Yes.
Terminal List with Chris Pratt.
Yeah, the to go real dark, the last surviving member of the Tuskegee syphilis experiments just passed away.
Oh,
Yeah, when they the official title, I believe, of the study was the effects of syphilis on the military-aged Negro man. Like, that was something that we did to our black military members.
oh,
Yeah, infected them with syphilis.
Holy guacamole.
Yeah. So, when you talk about the dark history and the things we do to our military members under the guise of national security, not great, Bob. But in that same vein, I love it when spies do stupid things, like Sumi Terry, who's been charged with spying for South Korea in exchange for luxury handbags. Yeah, that's a real headline.
Wait, that's what I always figured. Like you're getting like millions upon millions of dollars for national secrets. She was handing them over for handbags.
Handbags and dinners at Michelin star restaurants. You just find out what the
Yeah.
weakness is. You know,
And now-
some people have weaknesses for Gucci and Dolce and Gabbana.
Well, I don't think that doesn't line up with the treason charges that she'll be facing.
She's not getting charged with treason because she wasn't sharing necessarily national secrets, but she did not disclose that she was working as a foreign agent, which you can legally do. You can advise friendly nations. So if you've worked in government intelligence, or military intelligence, something along those lines, you can go to work for another country. You just have to disclose it to our government. Like then there's certain things you can and can't do and can't say. And
Oh yeah, they want to
everything-
turn you for the double agent.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is part of every one of those movies. You got the
exactly.
double agent.
So she failed to register as a foreign agent with the DOJ, the U.S. DOJ, and so she's now being charged with working as a foreign agent. And she collected over $40,000 in funding, or she collected $40,000 in covert funding for a public policy program on Korean affairs that she ran. So she went on the news here and was like, she was very pro South Korean in different veins and helped push South Korean agendas, which folks, this happens a lot. And what you just don't know is that they have disclosed privately that they are working as foreign agents. Like, that's why media literacy is needed so much, not just in like trade discussions, but in actual real life things. When you hear,
Not just NBA trades.
yeah,
I love how you're like in trade discussions.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
yeah,
Who's getting worked by whom
Yes.
in order to advance their agenda.
yeah, and who's when you find out, oh yeah, no, this former CIA operative is talking about this, and this, and you're like, oh yeah, by the way, they worked for Blackwater for 6 years from 2001 to 2007, and you're like, what?
Oh,
Yeah, and then you start understanding it's nastier than you think it is. That's the reality.
absolutely.
It's
it is.
nastier than you think it is. But basically, she's accused that she was worked as an agent for over a decade from 2013 on, 2 years after she left the U.S. government employment. So good times.
So what is she facing?
Right now, it's unknown because it's still a sealed indictment because national security, everything that goes along with that. But she has admitted to the FBI that she served as a source of information for South Korean intelligence, including passing handwritten notes from an off-the-record June 2022 meeting that included U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, the indictment states. So while there's nothing in here with charges of anything classified, There's confidential and need to know and protected and proprietary. Proprietary. That's proprietary, Sean. That's proprietary, Terry.
We just need to bifurcate these things.
Yes,
You
which
know?
was actually used in a literal article by Dennis Dodd today.
Yeah. They use the Neil O'Shea Word of the Day calendar.
Bifurcate. Dennis Dodd, Neil O'Shea both gave the same calendar.
Damn.
That's what I just. You know what? How long ago did he use bifurcate? I bet you it's that same calendar, and they just used the same word. They just was it 7 years ago?
It's like 2017, 2016.
I think it was 2017.
2017.
Right.
Yeah.
So 7 years ago, because that wasn't that a summer a summer press conference?
Guys,
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about free agency. Guys,
Yeah.
will you move on?
Yeah.
It's not a panacea.
Oh God.
Being a spy, it seems like a really cool job. I feel like it would just be very stressful at all
Taxing.
times. Like you were just like you can never turn it off.
No.
You know? Like that seems like it would.
And you don't make
on the surface.
you
It
don't
seems
make
super
good money
cool.
either.
Yeah, why not?
It's
Because we need $8 billion
Well,
to churn out 2 fighter jets.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That's why we don't have free healthcare. But it's also very interesting because spies don't make that much money, but like that's the thing that also turns them. It's here's an interesting thing. Referees in sports in the top leagues in North America make a lot of money. It's not because it's the job is that difficult. It's so that they can't be bought off.
Bribery. Yep.
If they're already making a lot of money, that can't the working theory, and for the most part, it does work. Tim Donaghy.
I don't need the money.
I don't
Well, yeah.
need the money, so you're not vulnerable to those scandals.
If there's one thing rich people don't do, it's try to get more money.
No, but the level of money that can
Yeah, I
be
know.
moved around at that level,
Yeah.
it's easier.
Yeah. And that might be the flaw in Bryce Harper's plan. Do you see Bryce Harper's plan for MLB umpires?
No.
If you get the higher you're graded out, the more you get paid as an MLB umpire. So like we would have been in a world where awful umpires then could be on the take.
Where
It'd be even worse.
Maybe where Angel Hernandez was paying his own way into Major League Baseball.
He
weird.
didn't do that?
We fired him 6 years ago. He just hasn't left.
We fixed the glitch. We got to
hanging on
fix
to
the glitch.
Hanging onto that stapler.
So, this is I just wanted to share this one because it's a level of stupid that actually pops up quite often.
Yeah, but when she goes to prison, she's going to have some sick handbags she's
Sick
taking
handbags, yeah.
with her. And then
Yeah.
she'll have to check that, and she'll get them on her way out.
Yeah, they keep them in a nice little Ziploc bag. I bet you somebody's sitting.
Did you say 40 grand worth of purses?
Yeah.
What's that, like 2 of them?
I mean, if it's a Birkin bag,
I mean, you're looking at like
those are like 25 grand a piece.
well, I don't know how many she got, but we're going to ballpark it at like 15 probably.
That's
Like 15 bags probably. Like a couple high ends, and then you get like the $1,000 bags that you're
a
in
little
there.
$1,000 bag here or there.
Yeah.
Your normal Hermes bags.
I can't wait for the follow-up report that South Korea was giving her knockoff.
Because it's from South Korea. Yeah.
They're like, yeah, those aren't the real ones.
I will tell you this though, South Korea, they got some good knockoffs. they get the good ones.
This isn't Birkin. It says Merkin.
Yeah.
Oh, Russ, that was a good one. That one was a good one.
Monsters. So yeah, stay out of the spy business. Doesn't do you any good, and you don't make that much money. I interviewed at a bunch of the Alphabet Soup when I got out up and down the East Coast, and take a wild guess. Take a wild guess in 2008 what a intelligence analyst job at CIA, DIA, DHS, FBI
In 2008,
yeah, 2008. How much do you think that I was being offered?
90 grand.
You're almost spot on.
Oh, really?
95.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and that
Can I have that now?
Yeah.
that's good. Not, but I mean,
I mean,
think
don't
of
get me
think
wrong,
of what you
it's good
have
money,
on
but-
your plate, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's like you don't answer your phone, somebody's gonna die.
No, I mean, you're talking about 16, 18-hour days sometimes.
Mhm.
You're living on the East Coast, so it's hellacious. More often than not, I probably would have been working in a war zone because I probably would have been a deployed asset. So I'm living in a place that's not fun nor hospitable.
Yeah, no.
but would
You
have all been tax free.
You made the right choice. You chose the very lucrative business of radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Or I make $95,000 a year. All right, coming up next. Do you want to talk some Red Robin?
Dude, yes.
Yeah. This might go down as a debate for all time. Do you prefer the quantity or do you prefer the value? Next on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. struggle, the battle for more or better value.
This is the question that people want to know right here. I was reading the Wall Street Journal because I got a super big brain.
That's what you do.
Yeah, I got
WSJ, that's what I call you.
big old brain on me.
Wall Street Journal Dusty.
And they had an article about the chain Red Robin. You ever heard of it?
I have.
It seems like they're going hybrid Golden Corral on this.
Great honey mustard dipping sauce.
Oh, really?
Are you campfire or are you honey mustard?
Campfire.
Mm.
But Red Robin has been seeing, 9 consecutive quarters of declining patronage to their restaurants.
They are going the way of the Applebee's and Chili's.
It's not great, Bob. In their new pitch to people is now having 30 bottomless options on their menu. And I think they're exaggerating a little bit because it was like soda is one of them, and it's like all of the types of soda they have,
You
which
can
is
have bottomless Coke. You can have bottomless Diet Coke.
yeah. And they've always had the bottomless fries.
Yeah.
We've known that. But they're saying you can get garlic fries. You can get like root beer floats, bottomless. Kids mac and cheese, bottomless. But they're saying
Which my kid takes advantage of.
we do not want to lower our prices across the board.
No.
And this is where, like, that was they were down to 2 options. Either we offer a bunch of bottomless options where people can just go and do the American thing and just gorge yourself with food.
Where this is problematic on that note is around universities. The Red Robins around universities, they're the ones who are going to take the hits on this.
They are. And this is what backfired on Red Lobster recently, right? Is they had the bottomless shrimp.
Yep.
And people were eating them out of business. Would you but here's the question that I have. Would you rather have across the board your prices stay the same, but you have more bottomless options and you feel like you're getting your value in I can eat as much as I want for as long as I want? Or do you want the value of bringing the prices down a little bit more across the board and you're going to be going there more often? Because what's going to get me there is the lowering of your prices across the board as opposed to my kids don't need bottomless mac and cheese with their meal.
My kid does.
I don't want to have 800
I don't want your life.
garlic fries servings,
Well,
right?
see,
What applies to the masses more to get people back in? That's the question here, because they're saying the bottomless options are what's going to keep people coming in.
Well, because you're getting that perceived value. And like because we've been there a couple of times now with my 7-year-old, she loves Red Robin, mainly for the tabletop little entertainment center there. But anyway, I digress.
Boy, that's a big one with the kids,
Yes.
with the children.
But when it comes to things like the bottomless mac and cheese or the fries or even the bottomless broccoli, you start out with what looks like kind of a smaller portion, and then sure, you might get that second one. But if you're already coming out and starting with the big pile of fries, then anyway, it's as the consumer, you're going to be like, I'm not taking advantage of these bottomless fries because there's so many there. But yeah, if you start out with a smaller portion, you're like, man, I got so many fries.
I got so
many,
They load you up on
so
the
many
carbs.
refills.
Cheaper.
Right.
Cheaper for them. I mean, I want the lower menu prices all around, but I do appreciate that more places are doing the bottomless. Like B-Dubs is doing the all you can eat wings on, was it Tuesdays?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see how many Chestnut ate? Joey Chestnut?
It was like
217 or
yeah.
something, or 230 something.
Holy
Or no,
crap.
it was 200.
That's
I think in like
incredible.
38 minutes.
That's incredible.
Like that's like a basketball plus of. It's like a beach not a beach volleyball, like the ball that you blow up.
It's like a yoga ball.
Yeah,
It's like a yoga ball full of wings.
And like just the mass. How do you? That's more impressive than 60 hot dogs to me.
Yeah.
200 plus freaking wings is just. I don't.
How often do you think he calls a plumber? Like, I feel like he's probably having to make like a bi-weekly call to the plumber. and be
No,
like,
I think
hey,
he just has a hole in the backyard.
You can come do it again. I mean, that snake. Do you think he has his own like Roto-Rooter snake that he's
For him or the toilet?
He's spending top dollar on the quality crappers.
Yeah, right.
It's like, yeah, I need a good flush.
I
rate
feel like
here.
you'd have
How
to.
does he not have a sponsorship with a cleanse?
I think. Oh,
How does he not?
yeah.
Or 2,000 flushes.
Yeah.
or dude wipes.
I think he does.
he has to.
I think he does with them.
Like you should have a front to back.
Yo.
Hey, a front to back sponsorship of like Cleanse,
Mm-hmm.
freaking Cologuard, Depends, like run the whole gamut,
I agree with that.
right?
I was looking at, and this goes back to the whole Red Robin thing. Brooksgate put out the 4 U.S. major sports and how they make their money. And for the NFL, like 66% of the money comes from their TV deal. Major League Baseball, 26%, NBA, 41%, NHL, 19%. But it has this pie chart of where everything else is, from ticket sales, team sponsorships, concessions and parking, and local TV media. The ticket sales for all of these are like the NFL, 17% of their revenue comes from ticket sales, 31% for baseball, 26% for basketball, and 44% from the NHL. But their concessions are still pretty big chunks, like NFL 6%, 10%. 6% of $18.7 billion comes from concessions and parking alone, right? Like that's a big chunk of money.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking upwards of $1 billion.
Baseball's for their 10.9 billion is 10% concessions and parking, 8% of the 10.9 for NBA, and 12% for NHL, 6.8 billion. If they were to lower the concessions and parking, ticket sales would be a far bigger chunk of that pie, because of the fact more people would perceive it as, I am getting a better deal once I get in there and I get into the arena. Because what a lot of people will go, yeah, I can buy tickets to a game, but they're going to get me every which way once I get in the door. And with your concessions, your park, or not even when you get in the door, you're parking.
Yeah,
for
we'll
God's
get our
sakes.
yearly our yearly report of cost of family of 4 across sports here probably any day.
It'll be soon.
It's usually like late July, early August. The report comes out as the new core or the new finances come out for each year for sports in August 1. The NFL always gets crushed on this because for a family of 4 to go to an NFL game, it's like $700 just to get
It's
in.
ridiculous.
Just to like get in. What is it? It's family of 4. It's parking, 4 tickets, drink, soda, dog. I think is how they do it across sports. And the NFL is always just astronomical.
It's
like compared to everyone else.
It prices people out.
Yeah, even when you've got a team like the Hawks who are going the complete
Falcons.
the Falcons going completely the opposite way.
Yeah, but they are making a killing on their concessions because they are priced way down. And it's fascinating because I think that is one of the big things. Is like people are okay with, all right, it's going to cost me X amount to get in, but what deters people is they're going to charge me an arm and a leg once I get in there.
$40 for 2 beers.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ah, man.
So
all right. Well, the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. We're getting a lot of, hey, give me lower prices and sometimes smaller portions. You know, like there seems to be a lot of that sentiment coming in where you don't need the massive portions to hook us anymore. Because I think a lot of the American public is also wising up to maybe we don't need to just cram ourselves until we can't eat anymore.
Look, high school, college, military me.
Nope. And that's the difference.
That
right there,
dude, I'm gonna house 7,000 calories, 8,000 calories a day, and not blink. Like that's the reality. But now, look, with the exception of like when I went to Vegas, you know, I told my wife, I'm like, I don't care what we eat.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to some really nice restaurants, and I'm gonna eat whatever the hell I want to. But outside of those special occasions, Red Robin, not on that special occasion list.
Nope.
So, you know, it is what it is. All right, coming up next, Brandon Ayuk could be on the move for the San Francisco 49ers. What does that look like contractually for him, and what deal he's seeking, and what teams could possibly be interested? And hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. We're 3 here on Danny and Dusty. What day is it again? Wednesday?
It is
afternoon?
Wednesday, the 17th of July, 2024.
Wednesday afternoon. Whether you're listening here on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for being a part of the show and spending some time with us. Brandon Ayuk doesn't want to spend any more time with the San Francisco 49ers.
No,
which-
this was big yesterday while you were out. He finally requested the trade, but it's really interesting to see kind of how San Francisco's pivoted the message towards we're not going to trade his ass.
Yeah.
And they have set the precedent, whether it is Robbie Gould, Raheem Mostert, or Deebo Samuel just last offseason. They've always stayed firm and said, you're under contract, and if you don't want to play here, good luck. But they have a window that's open, and there's not a lot of teams that can offer them anything that can help them win right now.
No, and because of how they're set up financially, things need to be very specific for what's going to make sense for them.
What's crazy is that if you look at the salary cap space available in the NFL as we stand right now, somehow, some way, the 49ers are in really good shape in team rankings for the salary cap and their cap space available. I was floored when I saw that they have $30 million remaining in salary cap space. The number one team in the NFL is the Patriots, and they've got $41 million remaining. The Niners, with everybody that they're paying, are only $11 million below them. Helps not paying your quarterback.
Yes.
Tremendously.
Yeah, it turns out when you're paying your quarterback, what is he, $900,000 for like one more year?
I think it's even less than that.
It's
crazy.
They're literally saving 40, let's just say on average, $40 million.
Yeah.
That's your savings. Literally right there.
Yeah.
Is that quarterback salary.
But as you move forward with all of the money that they've given out, next year they're at 30th heading into the season. They're already $26 million over the cap because all of the extensions that they've given guys are going to start all kicking in, and that's why they can't pay Brandon Ayuk this year, the money that they need. They're going to rework deals, they're going to restructure deals, and they need to save some money up because Brock Purdy will be expensive eventually, and they're not going to go down the road of Band-Aid, Band-Aid, Band-Aid because it's not sustainable. Because they've been able to draft so well, and because they've accumulated so much talent via trade like Christian McCaffrey.
Even after botching Trey Lance and giving up those picks, that is one of the most insane stories in the NFL in the last 10 years to me.
Yeah, they traded up, and they got Trey Lance at number 3, and he is no longer on the team.
He's
and
a bust,
never
and you don't get anything with
started
draft
for him.
capital.
Nothing.
And one of those draft picks turned into Micah Parsons.
Pretty
like
wild.
That's you lost, like when you're talking about the net loss that went out the door. You got nothing out of Trey Lance. What was the Cowboys give him a 5th? I want to say it was a fifth
Sounds
round
about
pick.
right.
And even then, it was like a fake 5th round pick.
But this is where they've hit home runs everywhere else. Everywhere. And that is a smart front office, great coaching as well with Kyle Shanahan.
Getting the most out of everything.
And they got supremely lucky. Mr. Irrelevant is a starting quarterback for a Super Bowl team where you were just a couple of plays away from winning the Super Bowl. But this is the thing with Brandon Ayuk, and this is why they're not going to want to move on from him, why they didn't want to move on from Deebo Samuel last year either, is because you need all of the talent to surround Brock Purdy. Because although Brock Purdy is really damn good, and he is surpassing every expectation for any last pick of the draft, he has still got some limitations. And what makes them so damn good is the fact that what does the defense take away? And without Brandon Ayuk, and that is your 4th option in your offense after McCaffrey, Deebo, and Kittle, you're still looking at that need to keep a defense honest is immeasurable for them. And they're hoping Ricky Pearsall can be that guy, which they drafted in the 1st round this year, but apparently he's on the NFI, the non-football injury list. And we're not quite sure what happened to Ricky Pearsall. Hopefully it's not anything serious, because if he does pop, and he very easily could pop on this 49ers team,
as the 5th
you
wide
add
receiver.
6th, because you still have Juwan Jennings too.
God.
You have Juwan Jennings there, and you're looking at that is how you get over the Kansas City hump, right? That's how you do it. But the fact is that Brandon Ayuk wants something in the range of the new deals that were handed out this summer, which are about $30 million and more. feasibly, the Niners just can't do that.
No, the math isn't mathing, and you took a look at the Spotrac offerings based on his value. What was it, $26 million?
And what they do is they use their metrics to kind of say this is what his value on the open market is, which is usually wrong because teams will always overpay and you go beyond the threshold. But they have Ayuk at 4 years and $104 million, which averages to $26 million a year. That would put him 8th highest annual average value. He'd be sandwiched right behind Cooper Kupp and right above Devontae Smith. And I think that's
probably fair.
That is really fair right there. But he's the next guy up. He wants that $30 million.
He wants to break the next barrier, and he's number one. He probably shouldn't.
And they're not. No, because he is a very good receiver, but he is not a guy who you pay like wide receiver number one in
He's
the NFL.
Not Jefferson or Chase.
No. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, we all kind of looked at it and said, well, I mean, at least the Lions have the money to do it. So that's why they went down that road, and they're going to take a hit this year. But in a couple of years, it'll be softened a little bit as you start paying everybody on the Lions roster who's been drafting equally well to what the 49ers have done.
He also played with a torn oblique essentially the entire season, so he's insane.
That's
so,
crazy.
Yeah, you pay him.
But I don't know, and Washington is a team that could afford to pay Brandon Ayuk that $30 million a year.
There's also been another team that has popped up.
Well, there's a lot of teams that are. We talked about him yesterday. He wants to go to either Washington or Pittsburgh, but New England has a ton of money because, spoiler alert, their roster is really bad and they have a lot of money to spend. Denver is in that situation where they could come out and say, all right, if we actually want to have a receiver who is the caliber of a number one, a lower end number one wide receiver in the NFL, then you bring him in, you put him alongside Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims Jr., and Troy Franklin in
The pecking
Denver.
order starts to make a little more sense.
Then you also have the Chargers were brought up yesterday as a potential landing spot too, because Ladd McConkey is currently wide receiver number one, and he's a rookie, and he's going to be playing in the slot, and it's going to be check down Charlie. I don't know how they would make that work financially moving forward, but if you want to make a one-year run, the Jets have also been put in that conversation where if you put him alongside Garrett Wilson for Aaron Rodgers, things really start making sense in New York's wide receiver room. But there's also more trades that are floating out there because he's a guy that teams are going to want to take a wink at.
Yeah, no, there was one that was thrown around. I saw earlier today. Ayuk going to the Raiders and swapping essentially for Devontae Adams. And that, to me, kind of makes sense for both sides.
It would make sense for both sides because Devontae Adams is under that $30 million mark that the 49ers just can't go beyond. And the Raiders would have the ability to extend Brandon Ayuk beyond this year and not worry about the pay scale on that. The one thing that is probably going to be a big hit is it would be a 1-year rental on Devontae Adams because he has a potential out after this season where he's going to be making $28 million. Again, Niners have $30 million in cap space. That trade would make sense if you're sitting there going, hey, we were going to roll the dice on 1 year with Brandon Ayuk. Let's upgrade that guy and
get probably happier guy.
And get somebody who's going to be like, all right, let's go win one. And you're not having to deal within your conference. You're not going and sending him to Washington in the NFC. You have a little bit of comfort there by sending him to Ayuk to an AFC team where he can get a long-term extension. He's not going to be thrilled with the quarterbacks that are thrown to him.
No.
But at the same time, that one actually does make sense because you could approach Devontae Adams after this year and say, all right, look,
do you want to stay and win?
Do you want to stay in?
Or do you want the money?
Or do you want to go and chase the bag? And look, if Devontae Adams is on the San Francisco 49ers, that is the scariest offense in all of football because you have Trent Williams as your left tackle, Christian McCaffrey as your running back. You go Deebo Samuel in the slot, Devontae Adams on the outside, Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings and George Kittle. Dear God, that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying.
The down year for Devontae Adams is still better than 90% of NFL wide receivers.
That is one that I don't know if the Raiders would be on board with that, but
making the 49ers better. But also, Devontae has been more than a good soldier there. but he hasn't been happy with number one, how Derek Carr was treated.
And he's 31 years old. Like,
Yeah.
he's
and
getting along in the
he's
tooth.
not going to hang there as the Raiders rebuild. You get a younger guy in Ayuk, even if he's a bit of a diva. Do you want him to be your number one? Maybe. Also, where did Ayuk go to school?
Arizona State.
Where's the head coach?
Arizona State.
Okay, so
Antonio Pierce.
You've got those lines you can draw. So if
Boy, that would be a hell of a trade.
I think that they end up staying is the default position because that's how the 49ers operate. But if he does get moved, I think that is the one that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the one of everything I've seen. Like, yeah, he could go to Washington or yeah, he could go to the Patriots. Like, yeah, what are they giving him? what are those teams giving the 49ers? 49ers don't want draft picks right now.
No, they want to win.
They want talent. So Devontae Adams to me is the best talent that they could swing.
And they're not going to be in a window to win with Devontae Adams this year. And look, do they want to pay $44 million against the cap next year? Because his base salary is going to be $35 million. He'll have a $44 million cap hit moving forward, and you're not going to be in a winning window next year either.
No, winning window is probably 5 years away. So, yeah, I think it makes sense for both sides.
Ooh, that's a hell of a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Who had that?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'll have to find it.
That one is one that is very intriguing, both sides, because Brandon Ayuk would fit a development and a quick turnaround for the Raiders for when they're ready in a year or two.
So there you go. All right, coming up next, Team USA put the hammer down on Serbia today, but do they have a Joel Embiid problem? Next on Dating Dusty, Tinny the Fan. Team USA is currently in Abu Dhabi getting ready for the Olympic basketball. Set to be underway in 10 days? July 27th?
Yeah.
It's July 27th? Yeah. July 27th. It's going to happen. Dun, 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 dun.
Bum, bum, bum.
They won today 105-79 over Serbia. They poured it on after struggling against Australia.
But they were struggling early in this game, too, against the Serbian. Well, Nikola Jokic, I don't want to spoil this for anybody.
Good at basketball.
He's still a damn good basketball player.
Yeah, he struggled shooting today, but he was
wild.
still very good. Nobody else for the Serbian national team could hit a jumper, and that was the problem because they couldn't hit threes. They were 10 of 34.
But the one thing that I think everybody keeps going back to is that this Team USA is really damn good.
Mhm.
But they're not invincible.
No.
And
they're old, and they do not stylistically. Americans are not used to playing international basketball. International players are used to playing international basketball. FIBA basketball is different.
And Joel Embiid is struggling
Yes.
mightily. And we heard Steve Kerr after the Australia game. He said, we may consider bringing Embiid off the bench, right? And today, it was another incredibly rough day. We've seen him foul out of games far too quickly. Today, he didn't get into foul trouble, but he only played 16 minutes and was 2 of 8 shooting. And look, like he's trying to bait refs for calls. The FIBA style of basketball
That
is
whistle gets swallowed.
far more physical.
Yeah.
And he is having a really tough time adapting to that. Thank God for Steph Curry just going hibachi on fire, 6 of 9 from 3. Because if he didn't do that, Team
This game's
USA
tight.
would have been you would have been one of those again. Are they going to be in trouble? Because outside of Steph and Drew Holiday, everybody struggled from beyond the arc. Well, I guess Bam Adebayo,
Bam had himself a
3
game.
of 5.
Yeah.
But are we really going to have a Team USA where we're relying on Bam Adebayo to shoot
Knockdown
threes?
jumpers? Yeah, it's a problem.
That's going to be a big issue. If you look at everybody else in the starting lineup, Steph goes 6 for 9 from beyond the arc. Drew Holiday went 2 for 2. You went 0 for 2 from Jason Tatum, 0 for 2 from LeBron, 0 for 3 from Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and a lot of this has to do with how Team USA is built. I firmly believe Joel Embiid should be on the roster. One of the things that he does do is, you think about this, on a basketball team that has Steph Curry and LeBron James on the floor at the same time, opponents are still doubling Joel Embiid. That's how terrifying he is when he gets on the block. The problem is that when he gets on the block, he's holding the ball a little too long. He's trying to foul bait. He's playing NBA basketball. And he's not the only one. Ant Edwards has done this. Tatum has done this. Ant played AAU basketball against Australia. I was sitting in my hotel room watching that game, and I wanted to take the window out of my
First
room.
option, dude.
It was hellacious basketball to watch. It was awful. It looked like the first quarter of Blazers Wizards last night. It was just torturous stuff.
I'm glad. I think it's funny you only gave it the first quarter.
Yeah, well, the first quarter of that game, the Wizards and Blazers combined to go 1 of 17 before the Wizards hit a shot. It was 2-0, 5.5 minutes into the quarter. It was ugh. Anyways, but the problem is the international game is a lot more open. Joel Embiid is not going to get up and down the floor. And I almost said the Blazers. The Team USA wants to play fast. You can't play fast with Joel Embiid. You can play fast with Anthony Davis. You can play fast with Bam Adebayo. You can play fast with those guys. Absolutely, unequivocally. That's a thing you can do. When you have Tyrese Halliburton, who just led the Pacers with basically the most efficient and fast offense in NBA history, yeah, you're going to get him down the floor. And you've got Ant Edwards, who's a freight train going to the rim. You're going to get him down the floor. Steph Curry never stops running. LeBron's damn near 40. He still wants to get out and go. Devin Booker wants to get out. Everyone on his team wants to get out and go. And that's when they look. The Showtime Team USA isn't in the half court. When they cause a turnover and run, that's when the Dream Team was dangerous.
Yep.
You look at that team, you're like Dream Team 2 had Shaq on it. Like, yeah, you had baby Shaq who was running the floor like a gazelle.
And he was only like 310.
Yeah. But it was like, you look at the dream team, other than Larry Bird, whose back was basically a steel rod at that point in time, you had MJ and Magic and David Robinson. Like, you had dudes that were just running. Chuck, that just run, and they ran teams off the floor. Because in transition, you just can't deal with it. And you can't, like, you look at this roster, you can't deal with this roster in transition. So there's this weird juxtaposition, because everyone's like, well, just move him to the bench. Well, you just played this political game with Joel Embiid over 3 years about what country he was going to play for. And you can't just say, Joel, you're going to the bench. Because he could have played for Cameroon, he could have played for France, and he could have played for the U.S. And you brought him in under the auspices of, hey, you will start for us. That's what they said. And now, the reason why Steve Kerr is saying, well, maybe we'll bring him off the bench is like, well, we have to say something. Them actually doing it is a massive, massive difference.
No, but I'm glad Steve Kerr is willing to come out and just say, hey, it's something that we're going to consider, because it does kind of tamper the heat down a little bit, even though everything that you're saying and everything that they're going to do is going to be to the contrary of it, right? He's just taking the heat off of the fact that you watch that game and you say, I don't know if he is built to play the style that Team USA needs to play in order to be effective. But this is why they're having these games, is to kind of work out these kinks and show Joel to a point, hey, you're not going to be the focal point of what we do. And that is a big change. That's one of the things that everybody that Team USA needs to do is you always have to take a back seat. Hell, Ant Edwards was talking about, I'm going to be the number one option. He's coming off the bench.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen Charles Barkley over the last week? He talked about Team USA. He goes,
I did.
Somebody goes, did you led Team USA and the Dream Team in scoring? He's like, yeah, I led us in rebounding, scoring and rebounding. You know why? Because everything was bleeping easy. Because I had Mike in one corner, I had Magic in the other, and I Terry or Clyde on one side and Dave Robinson on the other. It was
and
like
John Stockton dealing to him.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, guess what? I was really good. But they made it easy for me. I could do whatever. I mean, like Chuck was Zion before Zion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out the 6'6" dude with a 44-inch vertical, super, super, super explosive and strong.
Useful.
Yeah, really good in the international game. Turns out. Just like, but there is a real change. That's this whole discussion. We didn't really get to talk about this when it happened. Kawhi coming off the Olympic team and them replacing him with Derek White. How the hell did that not end up being Jaylen Brown when Jaylen Brown is everyone's like, well, you need somebody who fits in. I'm like, you're replacing Kawhi. Why not get the literal closest thing to Kawhi Leonard to replace him with?
Yeah,
because Colin Cowherd says Nike.
Well, he's
not
wrong.
Totally wrong.
He's
but
not wrong.
At the same time, I think there is an element of, well, and that'll never happen now that he said Bronny can't play in the NBA.
I don't think
that Bronny's not a pro. I don't. It's never going to happen at this point. But
did you see
Colin's not totally wrong, but at the same time, I think there is something to Jaylen Brown may not be the most well-regarded guy in the NBA.
No, did you see the statement that came out from Jaylen Brown's Twitter account after that?
No.
It was very clearly not written by him.
No.
It was very much I'm very excited to see how Bronny progresses as a pro.
Okay.
And I'm like, could you make this a little less PR heavy, guys? Just stand by what you say. It's more fun that way.
I'm glad he didn't deny it though.
No.
He's not going to say, that's not what I said. Because that's what he said.
Yeah, no, there's no alternative lip reading.
Here's the tweet. It's a flex to have your son alongside you in the NBA. It reflects greatness and longevity. Bronny has all the tools around him to be successful. I look forward to watching his growth.
Sure.
Uh-huh. Whatever you say, Jaylen.
Lakers
if that's
Celtics
your real
2.0.
name.
Let's go.
All right, come here next. Speaking of lists and things, there was a list that came out on ESPN of the top 100 athletes in the 2000s. It might be the worst list I've ever seen. We've got to at least discuss some of it. A lot of these guys on that Olympic roster. Come up next on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
This is an Open Championship Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Langdon Farms Golf Club.
Now, Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge, online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. First on the Fan, Team USA continuing their ramp up to Olympic play this morning in Abu Dhabi against Serbia. The U.S. rolling to a 105-79 win, 24 points for Steph Curry, Bam Adebayo with 17, Anthony Edwards with 16, and Nikola Jokic, 16 points, 11 rebounds for Serbia. Team USA now heads to London for games against South Sudan and Germany. The Athletic reporting, Bucks forward Chris Middleton had arthroscopic surgeries on both of his ankles this offseason, but is expected to be ready for the start of the season. And the Open Championship from Royal Troon in Scotland begins tonight. Justin Leonard, Todd Hamilton, Jack McDonald are your first group off the tees at 10:35 p.m. Pacific time. Rory McIlroy tees off at 2:09 a.m. He is plus 800 to win. Former Duck Wyndham Clark and Brooks Koepka at 6:26, Tiger at 6:37, and Scotty Scheffler at 7:10 a.m. He is plus 550 to win. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
ESPN released their ranking of the top 100 athletes of the 21st century.
Well, not yet. I think we're only up to 26, right?
Yes.
We're only up to they're doing the slow unveil, and it's already pissing people off, and rightfully so.
Well, I mean, it very much so. To the point where people on their own network are absolutely thrashing it, including one Patrick McAfee.
Dan Orlovsky, who's been on ESPN all morning, having the same exact conversation for the past 3 shows, will join us in 6 minutes, and we'll probably just cook him and ESPN as a whole for a lot of the shit they've been putting out from ESPN's people. Now, there is a top 100 list that is coming out from ESPN people, and I'll tell you what, it is the epitome of everything that everybody hates about ESPN. What they chose to do in ranking the top 100 athletes of like 21st century, they only gave us like 50 to 100 yesterday. What a shit show. What an absolutely terrible list. And we'll blame Dan Orlovsky for that. So he'll be joining us in about 6 minutes. We can't wait for that.
He's not wrong calling it a complete S show. So of what's been released so far, there are some absolutely egregious notes on here. Alex Ovechkin,
dude,
of the Washington Capitals, is the 54th greatest athlete on this list, and he's probably one of the top 15 hockey players of all time.
He could eclipse Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring record.
He's
got a ways to go, and he's old.
But it's one of those records that's looked at like the consecutive game streak or a hit streak. Like
not points, but just goals.
But still, it's supposed to be untouchable.
And he could touch it.
And he could touch it.
The fact that they have Derek Jeter, who I understand Derek Jeter, like a lot of the great years of his career were in the late 90s, but Derek Jeter is behind Adrian Beltre. Derek Jeter won 2 World Series, was a World Series MVP, and he's all-time leader in postseason hits, okay? Adrian Beltre is a damn fine player, but he still was not as good as Derek Jeter from 2000 to when Jeter hung him up. When Jeter retired? 2009? No, it was after that. It was like 2015.
Did he hang on that long?
I think so.
God.
But other ones that are absolutely egregious. J.J. Watt.
58th.
I don't.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
A surefire and great. His career his career ended in 2014. Derek Jeter, by the way.
Okay.
So he played 14 years in the back end. Not great, but still. Come on, what are we doing here? Derek Jeter behind Adrian Beltre. J.J. Watt is a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. Dude was Defensive Player of the Year. A freak among freaks. Even guys in the NFL were like, dude. Even when he was injured, he was better than a lot of guys. He did have a short career. Still better than, 58th since the year 2000. There's people that I've never even heard of that are ahead of him, right? Like, you have Alexa Putellas, who's a soccer player, apparently pretty good. Atiana Bonmati, another soccer player, is at 49th. You're telling me she is 9 spots better than J.J. Watt on the best athletes since the year 2000. You also have, which I think is absolutely egregious, you don't have to like him. Alex Rodriguez comes in at 43rd.
Yes.
Barry freaking Bonds is 38.
5 spots ahead. And again.
And I understand, this is all since 2000. I don't know. I remember when he was all jacked up on roids, hitting 80 dingers in a season. That was pretty impressive for Barry Bonds. I don't care if he was on steroids. He got on base 57% of the time in his final 8 years. It was incredible.
He had 4 consecutive MVPs, a 6-time All-Star, 5-time Silver Slugger, and 2-time 2 batting titles in that 5-year period.
That's crazy.
Ichiro is 1 spot ahead at 37th.
Well,
which what?
Yeah.
I love Ichiro. Love him. But my goodness, Mike Trout, who by every measure since he came to the league, he became an everyday player 10 years ago, 2014. Okay? So we have his entire career in this century. Okay? We're not like including or discluding or removing anything from it. He is at 30th, and he is considered by basically every advanced metric ever a top 10 player in baseball history.
Yeah.
And he's 30th on this list.
Something tells me we won't see a baseball player then?
I mean,
Ahead-
Shohei's gone.
moving.
Clayton's gone. Clayton Kershaw's on this list already. Mike
Yep.
Trout's on this list already.
Justin
Verlander's
Verlander's
on this list already. Barry Bonds is on this list already. Alex Rodriguez is on this list already. Like,
No baseball.
so you're not going to have a single baseball player in the top 25.
Peyton Manning and Randy Moss go 26 and 27. Peyton Manning.
There's 25 athletes in this century more important and better than Peyton Manning.
And both of those guys played 2 years outside of the year
His
2000.
window. Yeah. We know Brady's going to be in the top 10.
But Tom Brady should be number 1.
Probably.
Tiger Woods.
I was Tigers where I was going to go.
Tiger
but
Woods.
Tiger started in 96, so you're going to.
Tom Brady. But, I mean, you
But
have
still,
Tiger
carried all the
Slam
way
is in there. Like, Tiger Woods should be Tiger Woods.
You know what they're going to do? They're
Tom Brady.
They're going to go.
If they put
Serena's
LeBron
gonna be in
James
front of one of them.
If they put LeBron James on that, I will.
No, he's top 5.
Well, no, if they put him as number 1.
I won't.
Oh my God.
It'll be Brady.
Oh my God.
But they're going to put Serena too.
Yeah.
They're going to put Serena too.
I mean, dominance.
Yeah.
And what we're going to see
Still gonna
is
get Tiger in there.
we are going to see a lot of tennis players.
We're gonna
up
see
here. We're going to
Rafa.
see
We're
Rafa. You're going to see Federer. You're going to see Djokovic.
Yep.
Those guys are all going to be up there, and people are going to be like, "Oh, sweet."
Ahead of Peyton Manning. You're going to have Messi. You're going to have
Well,
Ronaldo.
I could see those guys like being ahead of Manning, but Manning at 26 is absolutely
25 in front of that.
egregious
I just
in any sport, and this is with no baseball players that are going to be in there, because if
Do
they
we have like a Clemens or a Rivera in there yet?
Mo's in there. Mo's at like 49.
yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
This list, all they wanted to do is piss me off,
No.
and they did it.
And they did a great job with it.
Yeah, here we are
It-
talking
it's-
about your dumb list.
It's an AI created list. That's the only way you can convince me of this. All right, we barely talked about or even mentioned Major League All-Star Game. But we'll close today's show with a little mention of Major League All-Star Game and how they do it incredibly right, except for one thing.
They do. Can I just say they don't have Patrick Mahomes on this list, which means they're going to put him already ahead of Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
No,
Prepare to be
don't
pissed.
shrug your shoulders like that. Mahomes is great. He is greatness.
He has not achieved
but
that
if you
yet.
are going to knock every one of these other guys for not having a long enough career like
Mm-hmm.
Shohei Otani yet, or Mike Trout, and you're going to pin them down way down on this list, you cannot prop Patrick Mahomes up.
He's in year 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What are we doing with that?
like I said, coming up next, MLB All-Star Game. Danny Dusty, Danny the Fan. All right, as we get out of here today, Major League Baseball had their All-Star game. They do the All-Star game better than anyone because they actually play.
Yeah.
Paul Skeens got up there and dealt. Livy Dunn was very excited about it. Shohei Ohtani hit an absolute nuke that you knew was going to the moon and completely gone the second that bat touched the ball.
That was awesome.
But in spite of all that,
The uniforms are awful.
The uniforms are atrocious. And for the love of God, just go back to putting a patch on your actual jersey.
Yeah.
It's
like white and gray. Every team has them.
Yes. Just go where or white and whatever dark color you have. I don't care. That looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Can we every All-Star game should do this. Go back to the white jerseys versus your color jersey in the sport.
And if you want to mix them up, like I would be okay if you wanted to go like a base of every jersey. Like every team, they look awesome.